So I'm going to show you in this video how to perform summary statistics for the market to book ratios and size data. Now with these data, you see the problem is that the data is not very clean. So I would first try to clean it, right? I delete the error columns. It would be a bit tedious, but it's something that you gotta do before you start. It's just a lot easier to work with a clean data set. Okay, so now the data is clean. All you need to do is to flatten this data set in the same way you did with the returns data, and you will have the market size for all of the 490 stocks, and then you can perform summary statistics with that. Now, in order to perform summary statistics for size and market to book ratio for just the 150 stocks that you have in your sample, we first need to extract the data for that 150 set. Okay, so what I do is that I will firstly copy the returns data into the same Excel workbook with this one. So you see, if you right click on the tab on the sheet name, then you can actually change name, move for copy, and so on. Alright, so I will open my stock returns data. Okay, so I will right click on the sheet name, select move to copy, and select the workbook, the size and market value workbook, and I move to the end. So as you see now, it creates a new workbook for me. Sorry, the new worksheet here. Okay, so what I do is that I will delete all of the returns data, and I filled in the I will fill in with the size or market to book ratio data into this sheet. So you see, you can actually use the index function as I show you in the first video, so that you can match the return data based on two criteria: the date and the ticker. Okay, so before we do that, there's a few things we need to be cautious. So you see this, the return data, you have return data on the very last day of the month, right? So say for example the 31st of January, 29th of February. Okay, so there's a monthly data, but you observe the data at the end of the month. But with the market to book ratios data or size data, you actually got the data for every 29 of the month. Okay, so so they are both monthly data, but the day you observe the data is a bit different. In order to make the two data set consistent, I will change the date format into only month and year, so I can ignore the date differences. Okay, so I will insert another column right next to the date column. also insert a row right next to the ticker. Okay. In order to convert the date format, I will use the text function, right? The value would be the date on the column A. The format, I will use stand for month, and 4 years, so you got 4 letters for year. Similarly, I will do the same function for the size data, right? I also use text function and change into month, year format. Okay, so you see, in order to match the ticker, I will extract the 4 letters in the middle in each of the ticker. So I use the mid function. Right, enter the text. The start number will be 3 because the letter I wanted will be the 3rd letter. And I go to the right by 4 letters, so the number character will be 4. Now I copy the same formula for all of the 490 stops. Right. So what you're doing here, you have extracted the 4 letters in the middle. Okay, right. I will do the same for the returns data. You see, the reason why I do that is the 4 letters in the middle is actually the ticker, but the last 2 is actually the data type index. So here RI stands for return index. So I will extract just the middle 4. Okay, so now the data set, your data set should be consistent, right? You can use the index function. Okay, alright, so before I do that, I just want to point out to you some details about the data. You see the returns data here start from January of 2000, but your size data and marketable ratios data actually start from the July of 2000. Okay, so okay, there's one problem here. You see that the text function we have here doesn't work correctly. So that probably because the date here doesn't really have the date format. So you need to change that into short date. Right? Ignore this, guys. I'm not sure what I did. Okay. All right. So you change it to short date format, and then you reapply the text function in the column B. Okay, so it works now. Yeah. So because we don't have return data for the 1st to June 2000, so I will just delete these rows. Okay, now I can use the index function. If you don't know how to use this, then you can go back to the first Excel tutorial videos. It's not too difficult. So with the array here, right, the first argument is the array. I will select the market value array that I just cleaned. Okay, I press F4. Now, in the second argument, they ask for row number, so I will match the row number by searching for the date value. Okay. Right, so I will search for the date value in the first column of the market size table. Right. The third argument is look for column number, so I will match the ticker with one of those ticker in the first row of the table, right? And I would use 0 for exact match. So now I can copy the formula to the next cell, to the cell on the right. But you see, when I do that, when I simply copy the formula to the right, then all of my matching values will go to the right by one column. It's okay for the column because that's exactly what we want, but for the row number, for the row number, we don't want this the lookup or the match value go to the right by one column. So in order to fix this problem, I will go back to my previous formula, right? So before I copy this, I will have to fix the formula that I did before. And the way I do this is simple. With the match value B3, I simply put a $sign in front of the letter B. So when I copy the formula to the right, this will not change into C3, it will still be B3. Okay. Okay, so the same problem will also occur when you copy the formula downward, right? So now you see the row, the third argument, the red cell, will also move down by one row, and that's not what you want. So I will put a $sign in front of the row, the number 3. So instead of C2, I put a $sign in front of number 2. Okay, right. So now I can use. You see that it works okay now. Okay, so after I fix the formula, I will copy the formula to all the cells on my right hand side, right? So now you put the cursor to the right corner of the range, double click on that, and you see the same formula has been applied to the whole data set. So now this is the subset of 150 stocks data, and you can collapse the data or flatten this data and perform summary statistics.